the events of Boston and from around the world. Jim's special guest today is John Paul Jackson. I'm Zach Drew, along with the Morningside Band. And now, direct from Gray Street at Morningside with breaking news, here are your hosts, Jim and Lori Bakker.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Gray Street. This is a show that's interrupting the flow of shows, and we'll be back to the normal show that was supposed to be on today. But so much is happening around the world. And John Paul Jackson just flew in minutes ago, brought him right here, had a salad in the green room, and we're thrilled. Please give John Paul Jackson a great big welcome. Thank you.
Glad to be
here. Such an honor to have you. We have been reading your books.
Yes.
Unmasking the Jezebel Spirit. Wow, that was powerful.
Yeah.
And Lori's been reading them. I've, of course, read them before, but we're excited because maybe in about 2 or 3 days, we're going to talk about this subject, Unmasking the Jezebel Spirit.
Yeah.
This is perhaps the most important book.
True.
Every one of our leaders here, every one of our college students here, all of our managers here, this is a signed book. They don't have a choice. They read it or weep. No, read it and you know, it is so.
Well,
But it is a truth that I've heard very few people preach and teach.
that's right.
And it is as important in the time of revelation than any subject, Lori, that I've ever seen. It is a warfare that we have fought. Mr. Crawford's here. Welcome, Jerry Crawford. Good to see you. You're looking good, by the way. But we've had warfare that we didn't know we were fighting until I read your book.
Right.
I understood the Jezebel spirit. You know, the times of revelation, the harlot of revelation is when just the outpouring of God's wrath. And so it would be sensible what you're saying and teaching us. This is like a precursor to the great harlot.
Well, there's a reason why the Lord brought that up to the church in Thyatira. The whole focus of that to the entire church was this one issue. You have to overcome this issue. And if you do, I'm going to grant you these things. And if you don't, then these things are going to begin to happen to you.
Wow.
And if you're going to have a prophetic church, you're going to face Jezebel at one time or another.
Yes.
We're not going to talk any more about it today.
Yeah.
Don't
We'll go
miss
there.
this coming week with John Paul Jackson. You don't want to miss this. This is as important a subject that we have hit upon. I believe it's one of the keys that God's bringing this ministry into a new level.
Right.
And we're so thankful for Mr. Crawford for building this building. And we now own all of our ministry center here, all of the theater, the chapel, the studios, the control rooms. So we rejoice. But God is going to do a great work in the last days. There's all this falling away. There's all these tragedies, all these things. But it is the hour, I believe, of the harvest. I believe it's going to be the greatest spiritual soul harvest we've ever had. And thank you for coming.
Yes.
I am honored to be here. Really, I mean that. I'm honored to be here.
Now, you live in Texas.
I do.
Does that mean you're a Texan? Were you born?
I was born and raised in Waxahachie, Texas.
But I could see you with a cowboy hat on.
Yeah, I have one.
And how long have you been in ministry?
I've been in ministry over 30 years now. I started out in the corporate world and thought I was going to be in the corporate world, but God had other plans, and here I am.
Wow.
And one of our services this week, you're going to be ministering and even talking about dreams.
Yeah.
Are dreams important, that important that you would preach on it and interpret dreams?
Well, they're important enough to God that he said through the prophet Joel and again through the apostle Peter that in the last days I'm going to pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and daughters will prophesy, your young men will see visions, your old men will dream dreams. And so if God says in the last days when it's the most important that you hear from me, I'm going to speak to you in these ways, who are we to say to God, I'm sorry, I don't want you to speak to me in dreams. You can speak to me only in your word or only in a prophecy, but not in a dream or not in a vision. So we cannot tell God how he can speak. When God says, I choose to speak to you in this way, we are to say, yes, God, speak to me in this way.
We're going to be sending out video of that service in that time, so you can be a part of everything that's going on this week. And we're going to be sending you all this book, not all these books, the Jezebel book. We're going to send Needless, this is number 2 important, Needless Casualties of War. This is spiritual war. Open my eyes, Lord, that I may see. Open my ears that I may hear. We cannot hear if we don't listen to the Word. And so it wasn't going to throw it. In this perfect storm, we're going to talk about it right now as we talk about Boston, what's going on, what has happened in this situation. And so we're going to share this, and on the next few shows, we're going to be talking about every one of these subjects. And I want you to study to show yourself approved. You can't go on what other preachers or anybody says. You back it up with the Word. You study and study and study. If it's not backed by the Word, then it's not the Word.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
Roll that tape from our show from a few months ago. Right in the middle of a show, I say crazy things. I don't understand. God said, build the network for the prophets. And I believe that John Paul Jackson is a true prophet.
Yes.
You probably won't let me say that, but I'll say that. I believe God spoke to me that he is one of the 12 most important voices in the last days. And that's why I brought him here. I believe he has a word for this generation, and I'm not joking, I'm not kidding, I'm not trying to puff him up. We hardly know each other. We've only talked on TV, mainly. We've had 15 minutes backstage, that's all. I've read his word, I've heard his heart. I know this man is to be a teaching elder, a prophet to this generation, and we must hear what God's saying. God said, build the network. He said, I have men all over that have words that the world's not really heard. And of course, millions have heard, of course, of John Paul.
Yes.
But a couple of years ago, I was on a TV show. I said, New Orleans is going to be underwater. And what, 2 weeks later? That was scary. Then one day, I said about Japan.
Yes.
I said, there's coming an earthquake. It's going to signal a financial collapse. And I said, during the middle of the show, I said, there's going to be a 9-point earthquake.
That's right.
And I'm so shocked, John Paul, because while you're here, I want to pick your brain a little bit. You hear from God, don't you?
We all can hear from God. Yes,
Everybody's
I do hear from
actually
God.
supposed to. In the
Yes.
Bible, everybody heard from God.
We are, right?
So that's why I don't call myself a prophet. I just say I listen. I occasionally get a word and they come true. So when they keep coming true, I'm hearing from God. I think.
Right.
I don't know sometimes.
Yeah, it seems like it. And the same with me. I want to be a man of God.
Yes.
Whatever I am outside of that, that's up to God. But my goal is to be a man of God, Jim. And in being a man of God, we tell the truth even when it's inconvenient to tell the truth.
Yeah, there it is.
And that's what you're doing, and this is what I have to
When you hear the perfect storm, we're going to talk a little bit about it in connection to Boston.
Right.
I've got to roll. Let's roll this. A few weeks or months ago, right in the middle of a show, I say something so out of context, but it makes sense today. Please roll that, will you, Mondo? This is a little bit of what is coming.
Jesus said in the last days, perilous times will come.
God just spoke to me, pray for Boston, so just pray for Boston. I just can't get it off my mind. Joe, I'm not talking about it. That's the things that happen when I'm driving down the street and they come true. How does God speak to you, John Paul?
Well, much like that, he'll drop something into my heart and I'll say something without even knowing, why did I say that? That happens to me a lot. Other than that, he also gives me dreams, he gives me visions. I've had visitations and in various spiritual encounters. And all of these, God has a plethora of ways that he speaks. He won't let us put him into a
Welcome to a Show, reporting on the events of Boston and from around the world. Jim
Just flew in minutes ago, brought him right here, had a salad in the green room, and we're thrilled. Please give John Paul Jackson a great big welcome. Thank you.
Great to
Thank
have
you
Glad
so
to be
much.
here.
Love having
Such an
you.
honor
So excited.
to have you.
So
We have been
excited.
reading your books.
Yes.
Unmasking the Jezebel spirit. Wow, that was powerful.
Yeah.
And Lori's been reading them. I've of course read them before, but we're excited because maybe in about 2 or 3 days we're going to talk about this subject, unmasking the Jezebel spirit. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Gray Street. This is a show that's interrupting the flow of shows, and we'll be back to the normal show that was supposed to be on today. But so much is happening around the world. And John Paul Jackson.
special guest today is John Paul Jackson. I'm Zach Drew, along with the Morningside Band. And now, direct from Gray Street at Morningside with breaking news. Here are your hosts, Jim and Laurie.